So we've been talking about it on the channel now for a couple of weeks. The Chargers had to make a couple of moves, and they get it started by trading for Odafe Oweh of the Baltimore Ravens. They also promoted Naeem Hines to the practice squad. The reason for that is Hassan Haskins just hasn't seen a lot of carries. What does he have, like 7 carries on the season, guys? So clearly the Chargers, they understand that, hey, look, we got to sort of fill out our depth here. Coming into the season, depth was supposed to be a premium for the Chargers. And in their defense, they've lost a lot of guys. You lose your two running backs, your first round Hampton, Najee Harris, Slater, Joel. There's only so much you can do, but you still have to keep moving, and that's what the Chargers are doing in this trade. Is they send a Louis Gilman, they get a Odafe Oweh. There was also a couple of picks in there. The biggest thing here, though, is that the Chargers, they understood that they had a lot of depth at safety. Of course, they still have Elijah Molden on the roster. You'd imagine is going to slide into the starting free safety spot. Derwin James is going to play strong safety. They've also got Tony Jefferson. RJ Mickens and Kendall Williamson are more of special teams guys, but they're also pretty talented. They're younger players. The Chargers will be just fine at safety. Honestly, if we're being real, Gilman wasn't very good. Not to say that always the best edge in the world, but last season did have about 11 sacks. He's also a way higher graded player by PFF this season, which doesn't matter because the Chargers, okay, they're fine at safety. Their issue defensively has been getting after the quarterback. Outside of Tuli Tuipulotu, the pass rush has been non-existent. And again, they're without Khalil Mack. They're also without Denzel Perryman, which is why the run defense has been, I can't say that on YouTube, getting flagged, but it's been bad, right? To put it mildly. So when we talk about Owe, you have to understand that I get it's a year to year league, and just because you're amazing one season doesn't mean you're amazing the next. But at least we've seen it last season that always capable of getting after the quarterback. On this season, he's got 12 pressures, which might not seem like much, but outside of Thule, no other Charger player has more than 8 pressures. So you take that into consideration and you realize that Owe has 12. It's big time. PFF has given him a 72.3 pass rush grade, which ranks him 36 among 169 qualified edge defenders. If you look at Gilman, guys, he's 56 among 134 qualified safeties with a 65.5 overall safety grade. So the Chargers are getting a better player, like a way better player, at a position in which they're struggling. So this is a big time move for the Chargers. And I know there's going to be Ravens fans that comment and be like, hey, I know. I really do respect the Ravens a lot. I know they traded a way to have some of the younger guys play and get work and develop and things like that. Of course, I'm a Chargers channel, so I don't cover the Ravens, but I know that. But for the Chargers, this is a big trade. Like they're getting a bolster at the edge, which has been a problem, especially at stopping the run. Yeah, they haven't been putting on pressure, but you can't stop the run. You can't win football games. Like it's as simple as that. And the Chargers certainly have not been winning football games the past couple of weeks, and they've struggled against the run. It's as simple as that. That's really all I have in terms of the trade. It's sort of time will tell. Is this going to save the Charger season? Probably not, but I do think it will help them at least get by until Khalil Mack returns. They should have made a move like this, honestly, weeks ago. I don't know why they waited. Like, the moment Mack got placed in the IR, I made a video saying they need to get on the phone and make a trade. And it's just a couple of weeks too late, in my opinion, because now all of a sudden the Broncos are tied with you for first. But hey, man, what do I know, right? But in terms of the other move the Chargers made, this is going to fly under the radar because there was a trade. But the Chargers, they ended up a month ago cutting running back Naeem Hines from their practice squad. But because they've had a dire need for another running back, they end up bringing him back. And the reason why I like this move is because Hines can do a couple of different things. He can play special teams as a returner, which is an issue in itself for the Chargers. Their return game has been trash since, of course, they lost Darius Davis for the past couple of weeks. Like Lambert Smith, Lad McConkey almost took one to the house, but you don't really want Lad McConkey at special teams like your star receiver, right? So Hines can do that, can catch the ball out of the backfield. He can even line up out wide if you really want to do that. Of course, he can carry the ball. He's not going to be a bell cow workhorse type of back. Pass protection. Yeah, Hines is kind of more of a third down back. But the reason why I like this move is just because he's a dynamic player that's like a Swiss Army knife. But it's also the fact that, Haskins, I mentioned that he have 7 carries. He only has 5 carries for 13 yards this season. They also got Kamani Vidal and Amir Johnson on the practice squad. At least one of those guys will be brought up on Sunday against the Dolphins. It's a good thing that the Chargers are playing the Dolphins because this team is an absolute disaster right now. And absolutely, it's the personnel. The Chargers, the first several games of the season were winning. Herbert was playing at MVP level, but all of a sudden they've fallen off, and it makes sense. They have literally nobody out there healthy. Like a fully healthy Chargers team, we saw them go up against the Chiefs and win, and Sure, the Chiefs were missing a couple of receivers, but it just goes to show that the Chargers week one versus, and they didn't even have Rashawn Slater. Everyone talks about the Chiefs receivers weren't playing. Oh, Slater wasn't playing. I had to correct myself because, I give other teams the benefit of the doubt way too much. The Chargers, they don't make excuses. That's kind of the thing here, is they've lost two in a row, but nobody's going to sit up here and use injuries as an excuse. They just got to play better football. But depth is the thing. The Chargers drafted a tackle in the sixth round, and then they brought in Mekhi Becton, but they haven't done anything else outside of that. You could argue that instead of prioritizing edge, they should have prioritized the offensive line and trade Gilman for a tackle or something like that, or a guard or something. Again, you can make a case for that, but the Chargers didn't do it. But right now, we're talking about the Dolphins trying to get as healthy as possible because the week after that is against the Colts. The Colts are absolutely legit right now. It's weird because the Colts just played the Rams like 2 weeks ago, and now they're coming back to Los Angeles. Kind of sucks for them. I guess it's not the worst thing, right? It's not like they're coming from New York or something like that. But the Bolts, man, they haven't won a game in 3 weeks. Like, it's wild. It looked like they were winning the Super Bowl, and then the injuries kind of kicked in. The Giants game honestly felt like a domino effect. I knew that after that game, the losing was far from over. This team just needs to get healthy. There's no other way around it. Hopefully, Oweh can play well and perform because the Chargers are going to need him across from Tooley. I do think he's going to start. I probably should have addressed that earlier. I do think he's going to slide in and start. Once Matt comes back, he'll be the third string edge. So, again, you trade Gilman, worst case scenario, for a third string edge rusher. The thing for the Chargers, though, is they came into the season with an abundance of edge rushers. Of course, when they were healthy, they had Tooley, they had Mack, they had Kyle Kennard, who they drafted in day three. Caleb Murphy, they decided to carry him. He was undrafted. So this team has plenty of guys that they can send after the quarterback. It's just they haven't really played well. Like, Murphy's more of a special teams guy. Kennard really, he's a rookie. I'm not going to get on him too much, but he's got a lot of work to do, obviously. That's just the start here. Gilman himself didn't play well at all. Troy Dye looked awful against the Commanders. But Dupree hasn't looked very good. That's kind of the thing as well. Is like, again, the Chargers came into the season, in my opinion, with a team that it looked like they were the deepest in football, and it just hasn't been the case here. So that's kind of the thing. But hey, man, there's still a ton of football to be played. But the Chargers, it feels like a must-win game. Like, you can't lose to the Dolphins. You just can't drop three in a row. To that point, you're letting the Broncos kind of take this division. And how nice would it be for the Chargers to have a playoff game at home? Because we saw them, of course, take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. That was a disaster. And then the Houston Texans, that was a disaster. I just think that this team at home with the crowd behind them is going to be very much needed. I would have loved to see the Chargers get the one seed, and they still can get the one seed. It's, again, like, they've lost two. The Bills have a loss, the Colts have a loss, so they're still well within reach of doing that. But a couple of more losses here, and the Chargers are going to be in serious jeopardy. So I'm hoping they can get back on track here because it doesn't get any easier. The Colts and then the Vikings, and then sure, the Titans suck. But then you've got the Steelers, who have one loss on the season. You've got the Jags, who have one loss on the season, and then the Raiders stink, and then you got the Eagles, Chiefs, Cowboys, Texans, and Broncos. Cowboys have the best offense in football statistically. So, like, the Chargers cannot be dropping more of these games. It's just not going to get it done here.